Today is Monday, September 30th in 2013, and you're joining us here inside of the International Space Station Flight Control Room located at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. On board, interactions with the recently docked Cygnus cargo vehicle continue today, with Luca Parmitano and Karen Nyberg continuing to focus on that. The vehicle, built and maintained by Orbital Sciences, successfully flew to the International Space Station yesterday, completing its final approach and a number of milestones as it looks to make its first cargo delivery to the station. It was successfully grappled with the station's robotic arm by Parmitano and Nyberg yesterday morning around 6 a.m. Central Time, and then docked successfully to the Earth-facing side of the Harmony module at 7:44 a.m. Central Time. That cargo craft, which is scheduled to remain attached to the International Space Station until October 22nd, has delivered about 1,300 pounds of cargo to the six-member crew of Expedition 37. Among this, various student experiments, food and clothing, all of which will be unloaded by the crew. That unloading starting with the hatch opening, which took place today. The crew member opening up the hatches earlier this morning at around 3:10 a.m. Central Time to gain access into Cygnus, again attached right now to the Earth-facing side of the Harmony module. The crew will begin unloading some of that cargo today, having already carried out a number of items, including some of the NanoRack student experiments that have flown to the station on board. They'll be unloading the rest of the cargo over the next 3 weeks. Again, that vehicle right now is scheduled to remain until October 22nd. Aside from all of this Cygnus work taking place today, Luca Parmitano will also be working to replace a water line vent tube assembly working inside of the station's Quest airlock on one of the 2 U.S. spacesuits inside. That waterline vent tube in the hard upper torso portion of the spacesuit. He'll be getting a hand in some of that by one of the station's newest residents, Mike Hopkins, who started off his day taking a few samples for the human research facility on board the station. Hopkins on board less than a week now, still engaging in set-aside time for crew orientation that all of these new crew members on board the station are assigned to familiarize themselves with all of the systems and procedures that they'll be interacting with over the 6-month stay on board the station. Aside from that, he'll also be unloading a bit of cargo from that Cygnus vehicle, joining Parmitano and Nyberg. Over on the Russian side of the house, current Expedition 37 Commander Fyodor Yurchikhin is working today with the Russian Sept experiment located inside of the Russian Science Glove Box. It's a study looking to contribute to all of the developments that go into preparing onboard equipment with an aseptic condition, basically free from any microorganisms such as bacteria and viruses, and also fungi that can potentially build up in order to better sanitize any biotechnological experiments taking place on board station. They'll also be looking for any trace contaminant levels inside of the Russian service module. Also working the other 2 Russian cosmonauts on board, focusing on some experiment work. Oleg Kotov focusing on the Russian Constanta experiment, which looks to find any possible approaches to protecting the enzyme systems of humans and animals in spaceflight, protecting them from the undesirable effects of that microgravity environment and long-term exposure. As a newer crew member, he'll also be taking some time out for crew orientation and transferring some cargo that came up on that Soyuz TMA-10M vehicle that brought him, Rosansky, and Hopkins to the station just last week on Wednesday. The final crew member, Sergei Rosansky, working on the Russian Cascade experiment, which looks to cultivate cells of microorganisms, humans, and animals in microgravity conditions, hoping to increase their resistance to some of the negative factors of storing and preparing them in space, such as freezing and drying. Aside from that, also engaged in that orientation time.